Hi everyone, I'm Edmund and I'm the founder of Belgrove Rum. Belgrove Rum, so I launched it just over 3 years ago, so January 2019. Before that, I wasn't in the spirits industry. I actually worked for Associated British Foods, so I was always in operations roles. So I ran a cooking oil factory and then ran a noodle warehousing and distribution network. So very ops, but not very sort of spirits. And I'd always wanted to start my own firm, but I never knew what it would be. So I quit my job to go in search of what the idea would be. And it was sort of the overlap of something I had some skills in, something that there was a market opportunity for, and then also something I loved and was passionate about. And rum just overlapped them. So I ran the cooking oil factory and putting oil in a bottle and putting rum in a bottle, not that different. Love food and drink, amazing area to be in. And then there was a market opportunity for rums. We've had all these wonderful craft gins, but having a rum that sort of isn't equal in terms of brand and quality of product, I didn't feel that we had that. And I'd never been a massive rum fan, and I think it's because I didn't love any brands and the taste of any liquids. So essentially ended up making one that I did love and loved drinking and, loved the look of. And that was where that gap in the market was for me. So that's how I ended up doing rum. And then so launched just over 3 years ago. Our first retailer was Selfridges, which was amazing. People say, how did you get in there? That's like one of the key questions. How did you come up with it? And how did you get in there? I just walked in the door and just chatted to the sales guy on the floor. And I said, hey, I'm bringing out a rum in a couple of months. I'd love to share it with you. And he was like, mate, that's amazing. You need to meet my boss. So I met his boss, then their boss. And eventually the buyer emailed me and said, can I have a sample? I said, of course you can. So sent a sample to the buyer, and it was stocked, was our first retailer back in 2019. So that was sort of the first big break. And in terms of coming up with the flavor, because the first one was our hazelnut rum, and that was the first hazelnut rum in the world. And it was born out of wanting to create something new. I didn't want to just put a twist on a spiced rum. So I thought, well, look at all the flavors that you love, and there's bound to be something in there. So it was Kinder Bueno, dairy milk whole nut. I love sticky toffee pudding, Snickers, Florentines from Hazelmere, and sort of whittled that down to like something nutty, something chocolatey. And I love Frangelico, but it's very sweet and it's like half strength because it's a liqueur. So it was like a grown-up Frangelico was what sort of came to me in my mind. So yeah, went about then creating a hazelnut rum, and it's delicious. So with Coke, with ginger beer, espresso martinis, because there's chocolate notes in there with the hazelnut. So that's great with the coffee because they share a lot of flavor notes. Old fashions. So that was the first one. And then last year, brought out the spiced fig and blackberry rum. And they both got their great taste awards. So yeah, that's where we are now. Biggest business success so far. I mean, the biggest one is the recent one, launched 24th of March into Asda with the spiced fig and blackberry. It was my biggest order I'd ever had, and it was the first of being in one of the big four national retailers. And how that came about. So last sort of October, I sort of submitted my products to them, and there's a site called Range Me, RANGEME, Range Me. It's quite a new site, but it's sort of a new place where buyers now go to find products. So you set up a profile, upload your products, and then submit it to whoever's on there looking for new products, and you say why you think you'll be a good fit. So got found by them, and Asda are doing a new nurture scheme, which is, so for this first tranche of brands, there's 12 brands, and we get a 12-week trial in store, 90 stores, and it's on these sort of aisle end gondolas, and they put quite a lot of effort behind trying to promote sort of the whole scheme and also your brand. And they're looking for, they're looking for the next Graze, the next Fever Tree. They want that, $1 million, $1 billion idea. So that's why they're sort of getting behind these brands. And it's good for the brands. It's good for their, reputation and PR, of course, that's part of it. But it's an amazing piece of exposure. And I said, why did he pick me? I wanted to know. And they were like, it's just, it's on trend. We've got a lacking in our rums in terms of premium, infused rums, and at a £30 price point. It's a gap in the market in total, and also definitely a gap for Asda. So yeah, it just made perfect sense, and it's nice and easy to mix for them. They can go, look, rum and Coke, rum and ginger, if you're feeling fancy, espresso martini. So yeah, it just fitted what they wanted to do really well. So yeah, it's going well, and fingers crossed they get a permanent listing. A friend who he actually co-owns Fell Brewery up in the Lakes, and I saw him a couple of years ago. He was a good mate from when we were growing up, and he just said everything takes longer and costs more than you think. So it's quite a long journey getting a business up and running. So don't expect things to just happen overnight, and don't be disappointed if they don't. Obviously, you're going to work hard and you want it to, move as quickly as possible and quicker than the competition. But he said there'll always be firms that it's like, how have they got so far so quickly? They're few and far between. A lot of people, take forever to get there, but, keep trucking away, and you will get there. Don't worry that the journey takes sometimes longer than you thought. Something you might have thought would take 6 months, it might take 18 months. Don't get down, and you do need to enjoy the journey, because it's a long road. I've been going, 3 years, 4 months since I launched, and there was, more than a year of development before that. So, I'm not far off 5 years already, and you've got to make sure that it is sustainable. So you can't be tearing your hair out if stuff hasn't happened overnight, and you don't want to burn out. So just be realistic in terms of timeframes and budgets. So that was sort of, the biggest learning, just in terms of how you view the whole piece, and in terms of what growth looks like for you. Things will take a long time. So don't be annoyed if it hasn't happened overnight and give up. It's a lot of things. So people go, oh my God, that's amazing, you're in Asda. But, in order to get an Asda, I had to prove that it could work in high-end small chains. So places like Dalesford. To get in Dalesford, I had to prove it worked in, independent retailers. And to get into independent retailers, I had to show that it could sell in, online and places that it was easier to get into. So it is a big staircase. And, a lot of people think, how did you get there? Or, it looks easy, but there's a lot of hard work behind, sort of behind closed doors. So yeah, if you're working on something or starting something, just make sure you've got the sort of scale right in your mind, and don't be annoyed if it takes a bit of time. It always does. What's next? Another retailer opportunity that I can't talk about yet, but that would be pre-Christmas, and it's very exciting. And next month, I'll hopefully be finalising the commercials on it. So yeah, very excited about that. And then also more export as well. So currently export to Germany, and then on to Austria and the Netherlands as well. And just working on a Belgian distributor at the moment. And that was great. That came through. It was a Department for International Trade piece, being at Tavola, the big fine food and drink fair in Belgium. So that was a great one for the Belgian thing. And also, working with, DIT for the internationalization fund. There's like a match funded piece to help me grow overseas as well. So I'm in the process of getting my Chinese trademark as well for spirits, with that match funded grants, and that's really great. That's like a first come, first serve in terms of trademarks. So they don't reserve it for the person who owns the brand in the rest of the world. Joe Bloggs could go along and buy it and then sell it to you for a 10 times markup. So if you are thinking of exporting to China, as soon as you've got the money to afford it, it's good to get it. So that's another one I'm doing. So build up a couple more export markets, hopefully go from 3 to sort of 5 or 6. This other retailer piece, and then converting the Asda trial into a permanent listing. They're the 3 big bits. Something that I'm really proud of, and you sort of, I do make a point of sort of thinking of it and being grateful for it, is that I'm not tied to my old job. Like I learned a huge amount in my old job, and, you know, probably couldn't do what I'm doing now without the sort of 6 years that I put in there. But like a lot of people, it's not always the most pleasurable thing. It was a big demanding job. It was tough. It was hard work. It's got me where I am today. But yeah, grateful I don't have to go in and work a job I didn't love at times that weren't up to me. Now, you know, I work very hard now. It takes a lot of brain power, but at least it's sort of on my times and on my terms. And I'm just, yeah, very grateful, yeah, for that.